What's up, everyone? It's Tony here again for another episode of whatever you want to call this, the market update and select stocks or markets, I guess. Got to come up with a better name. But let's start off with what we've started off with last couple of, I think it's like 2 weeks now. So I'm using a new website here. It's called coronavirus-map. The other website that I use says that it has a bug and they're trying to fix the data. I like that other one because it's simple. This one is too noisy, but at least we can get the data that we need. So you can see here that we are at 122,400 confirmed cases. We have, in other news, we also have, related news, we have the World Health Organization officially declaring COVID-19 a pandemic, which is no surprise. But and I highly recommend. I'm going to see if I put the link at the end. Hopefully, I remember. There's a podcast by Joe Rogan with Michael Orsturick, I want to say. I'll put a link to the website in the notes below, and he really does clarify a lot of things that we all have doubts with. It's mostly airborne. There's a lot of issues with touching whatnot. Masks are really more for the infected and those who are in contact with the infected. But for the most part, he recommends not wearing a mask. Mostly, in my opinion, mostly because there's a shortage of masks. So, but he goes into a lot of detail, and I highly recommend watching it. It's not that long of an episode. It's like an hour and a half. He has episodes that are like 4 hours long, so it's not. This is a walk in the park. But pretty much the main of the contents, main information in that video is in the beginning. But anyways, to get on with it. So basically everything. Most countries are getting up there. You can see that cruise ships. So we have China, Italy, Iran, South Korea, Spain, Germany, U.S., and then cruise ship, which is crazy. That shows you how, in that same podcast, he explains how the air gets circulated in the ship, and so this virus just keeps going round and round and round. So that's it's kind of crazy. But let's look at the U.S. I don't know if we can. It's the first time I look here. Kind of breaks it down kind of easy. So, unfortunately, 32 deaths, 24 in Washington, 4 in California, 2 Florida, 1 Jersey, and 1 South Dakota. So these numbers keep going up, and I really hope that there's some sort of that we can get this contained, but it doesn't sound like it's going to happen anytime soon. So again, take a look at that video. I'll do my best to remember and put a link. But yeah, that's basically what it is for coronavirus today. So the Dow is officially in a bear market. Here's what the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's everything's gonna react with the market. So, are we in a bear market? I mean, it's kind of soon to say yes or no, but if you show this chart to anyone, they're gonna say we're in a bear market. So, or at least in a downtrend, pretty severe downtrend. So hopefully hopefully we have a pullback and we're able to climb to new all-time highs. But yeah, I mean that's basically what that is. Trying to see if we have some other. So yeah, so World Health Organization declares coronavirus as a pandemic. Let me see. Yeah, that's basically it. Going to FinViz, you can see this heat map reflects all the fears in the market. Basically, just a handful of green and a sea of red, and manufacturer Tesla. Oh no, TLSA. I was like, wow, Tesla's 395. I'm like, put everything, mortgage the house and buy that. No, don't do that. Never do that. But that would have been insane. But this is a biotech company, which makes sense. Wow, look at that. The gap up, and that's a crazy movement right there. Um, yeah, as expected, we continue to see biotech, medical, pharma, most likely, processed drugs. Those are going to be leading for the most part while this whole thing unravels or ravels, I guess. And but there was something interesting. So Boeing has made major news with an 18% drop. That is out of hand. So yeah, I mean, you can see that. Well, first of all, the market has not treated any stocks, well, but especially a 18% drop today. That's massive, and it looks like it's all part of again coronavirus. Boeing eyes cash as aircraft cancellations surge amid coronavirus. So yeah, travels, anything related to travel is going to be, and it's not even travel, it's entertainment. I mean, there's so many things that are affected and will be affected by this coronavirus and all these fears, because nobody wants to go out. A few people want to go to restaurants. Few people want to go to sports arenas. Few people want to do the NCAA. Just I got a notification saying that they're basically just let me see here. NCAA basketball tournaments will be held without fans amid concerns over coronavirus outbreak. So all this is money. These are ticket sales that are not being, nobody's profiting that. So yeah, there's a lot of industry that's going to be crushed in the midterm. And if they don't have any cash, then that sucks. So all these restaurants that are like pretty much day to day, Disney's going to be interesting. Any theme park, anything entertainment or travel is going to be in for they probably are already in a rude awakening, but they're going to be even more of a rude awakening. And yeah, so Boeing looks like it is freaking hurting. uh, what other news we have here? Tesla closes 200 billion. Yeah, so let me see here. The coronavirus is ending a 16-year plane boom for Boeing and Airbus. Yeah, all these companies are going to be in max pain. So let's take a look at it. I guess we can start off with just the S&P and see what has unfolded in the last couple of. I'm in a daily, so yeah, you can see well, I don't know if you want to call this consolidating. This is not consolidating. This is, if you want to call it 3 days consolidating. It's working its way down, for lack of a better kind of. Let me hide these indicators. I mean, these little drawings. Now, the funny thing is that on the daily, we do have some bullish divergence. So what happens there, I don't know. But it is kind of interesting that we do have these. So we have price making lower lows. Let's see if I can. It's a little clearer there. So we have price making lower lows, but we have RSI bullish divergence making higher highs. So that, and we're on a daily chart, so that's interesting to me. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens. But again, the technical part of it, I hesitate in a situation like this, because fundamentals are key, and especially anything that happens in the news. So, but this is the market speaking. Pretty much, I mean, we have momentum to the upside, even though price is falling. So that right there is, to me, it's a bullish. I mean, I think to anybody that's into technicals, that's very bullish. And so yeah, so that is, I'm gonna keep that one on the chart, because that could be something that that might surprise a few people that are daddy bears over here. Um, so if we, it's hard to say. I mean, I still expect this ABCD to be completed, and that's at the $2,600 range, 2592 to 2600. Um, but now I'm hesitating a little bit on that because we have this bearish divergence. So I mean, bullish divergence. So we have some good news. I mean, I don't think I've heard anybody saying about any good news whatsoever. So this is actually kind of positive. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I'm kind of sorry. I'm lack of words right now because I just saw it and I'm very surprised. Um, but yeah, let's see how that plays out. So I don't even want to give you any targets, but I guess that really the most obvious one would be that your next level of support, which is the horizontal that we opened up from today, which was 2860, give or take, 2864. Uh, let's see if we rally up there. That's the only thing that I can think of right now. If we break above that, then maybe 2950, give or take. Yeah, I mean, long story short here, I'm seeing downside of 20, kind of like yesterday, downside of 2670 to 2600. And if that bullish divergence does play out, then I can expect we'd have to see if we can break above this 2864. That for me would be a good level there, 2790 to 2864, I guess. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that actually. Huh. Always surprised. All day today, I've spent most of the day charting, but just experimenting with some just some new stuff, trying out some new back testing a couple of things. So spend most of the day doing that. Not really. I've honestly ignored most of the charts, and let me close this out. And yeah, it's one of those things where it's sometimes it shocks you. But anyways, moving on. Let's go to Boeing. So I don't think I've covered Boeing. So let's look at historically. Let me see. I guess we can go from this low here and try to get a better picture of Boeing. So we have that high up there. So swing low of $29 up to a swing high of 446. So obviously, maybe I should turn this into a logarithmic chart to get a better idea, a better view of all that price action, because that's a big move from 29 to 400. So let me go there. Alrighty. So, and I think that did a snap. All right, cool. So, yeah, not surprising, we're at the 61.8 level. And yeah, if you haven't seen some of my previous videos, I mean, I'm a big fan of Fibonacci. And these levels just, people say it doesn't, but it just historically it does. I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, that's completely up to you. But I would say that it just respects levels very well. Anyways, so on a long term, so this is from the 2009 lows. Swing low 2009 at 2905 to swing high of 2019 March. So about a year ago, we peaked out there at 446. Our Fibonacci, we basically hit that 61.8. So that should be a major resistance level, support and resistance level, right here acting as support. And let's see if we can have on the log charts. So we have a horizontal there. We have another horizontal. Well, I guess we would have one there. Can argue to have one there. And yeah, I guess we have some, that 61.8 should act as its own Fibonacci extension, and that's pretty much it for now. We basically did have one around this level here, which obviously we broke, and yeah, that's it. So I don't want to dirty this chart up even more. So let me draw some trend lines as well to get a better picture of what's going on. So I'm going to try to draw it, see what kind of fits here, see what makes the most sense. So you can argue, it's not my favorite trend line, but we have one touch, two touch, and then today's touch here, I believe it touched. Oh, pretty close. We can try to use this as a possible trend line. We got to see, and this is on a weekly, so maybe we should dive in on the. So I'm going to leave that one there because that's going to give us a pretty decent idea. Before the crash, I might have gone this route. Maybe not. I usually like for it to have more than one touch, so I think I would have kept maybe this low here and played with that. I think I would have done that. So before today's drop, I assume this is just today. Let me go on the daily to make sure that. Pretty much, yeah. So that was today's drop. So before today's drop, I would have not had this one. I would have had this. So I guess I'll do that. That seems the most logical. I don't want to dirty what I normally do. So we have touch, almost a touch. I guess you can fix that a little bit to a touch. So touch, definitely a touch. Well, more than a touch. It broke. Found support at the horizontal, broke above the horizontal. Well, not a broke, it support at horizontal, broke above the trend line, and then acted as, so the trend line has acted as support ever since. So now is when we didn't even freaking look at that trend line, at least on the weekly. So let's dive in now on the daily so we can see some more recent price action. So let me double click here, and you can see that we have this trend line, touch. So that, yeah, this trend line, the more I see it, the more I like it. Yesterday, what happened yesterday? That's what I'm curious about with this trend line. So so the day before yesterday, so Monday, we had a near touch, but it didn't get quite through it. Yesterday, it did actually open. I broke below it briefly as a wick and then closed above the trend line. But today, we opened at the trend line and closed well below it. So we have to see what happens here. We might have the same kind of price action that happened back here in 2016, February, around February 11th, give or take. We might have that kind of action, but if we have good news with the stock market, we saw that bullish divergence. If that plays out, then maybe this, maybe the stock will kind of bounce with it. But there's a lot of what ifs. I don't like to play that what if game. To me it's oof, my neck popped. Oh, good Lord. I felt good. Whew. Hope you guys caught that on the microphone. I don't know. Good Lord, I've been having that bother me all day. Anyways, so yeah, so we have to see what happens there. That's it's a little bit. It's not a little bit. I mean, it's concerning for sure. But we did find support here at the 61.8, which is, and the more I see it, the more this is a horizontal. We have resistance, and then break above, and then we did have support here on the daily. So yeah, I'm comfortable calling that a horizontal, and it has confluence with that 61.8. Usually you want your horizontals matching with Fibonacci levels. That's usually the best way to go about it. At least in my point of view, that's how I confirm them. And yeah, so that makes a lot of sense of why we found that. So we have the 61.8, we have the horizontal. So now, really, now we have to see what happens here. Do we have another trend line that we can use? Not really, because everything is kind of in agreement with this previous trend line. So I'm not even going to dirty up a chart with a potential trend line there. It just doesn't make any sense. So what do we do? Where are we going? Have no clue. Well, that's not true. I mean, we found support at this horizontal. I don't think that we break below this unless we have some further bad news. If we have a steady flow of news that doesn't change too much. Excuse me, here having a gotta fix my my little signs there. Okay, so sorry about that. So we have support here. I guess we have to play between these levels here, because if you notice, there's no real support or resistance, I should say, until the 50% on the Fibonacci, the 237 price point there, which explains why we dropped this. I mean, I guess you can say we had a little bit of play here at the 200. Yeah, the 200 level. 1 second, I'm sorry. So we are basically just maybe we'll find some support there or some resistance there on the way back up if we do go up, but I don't think we're gonna have too much of a hurdle on the way up if we have a bounce up. I think it'll just be almost straight above this trend line if it happens soon, and then just kind of see what happens at that 50% level. If we break below it, then obviously our next stop, in my point of view, is between 175. So we have another little mini. Let me make this a different. So we have like a little zone here, like an order block, whatever you want to call it. So this would be the next level of. So I can see us. Let me see if I could draw this a little bit better. So I would say in that little gray box would be the next level of, if we do break below it, that we would be playing in that little section. And if not, if we do come above, then I can see us kind of in this little region here. So this is the way that I would see it. So it's basically going to be bouncing between here. And that's the way I see it, at least. I am on a daily chart. If we break below, then obviously we're going to be looking at, some maybe 160 would be the target after breaking 175. If it does break 175, but I see it pretty much in these little zones here. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. I guess if we go on the 3-day or a 2-day, we can get a better picture. No, not really. It's funny because this looks almost like if it was like a head and shoulders-y kind of thing. I don't know if I can draw this very well, but I mean, it's kind of hard to. Let's say we go. Oh, I'm trying to draw a thing. So give or take, let's say we have. I don't know why my magnet is acting so silly. So their head, maybe. I don't like that, but let's keep it there for now. Dude, this thing is crazy. So let's say we have our low. Whatever. My point, this is kind of how I'm sort of looking at it. It's not the cleanest, obviously, but it's also on a weekly. So if we were to get the target of this would be pretty much where we are now. So that's funny that that happened. If we consider this horizontal to be the neckline, which I really don't, but if we did, then we would have almost a perfect hit to the bottom of that next region that I'm talking about. So 176, 175. I don't know how accurate that one is. I think this one makes more sense to me. And it pretty much hit the target there. So, uh, yeah, I mean, I guess you can kind of draw it on your own. If you see this horizontal being more of a neckline, then that would be your target. Actually, your target would be a little bit more, right? Because you would be from up here somewhere to here. And you would reflect that down here. And it would point to the 153 region. So depending on how you see it, for me, the way I see it, I think that this Head and Shoulders actually met its target. Its objective has been met from the way I see it. If you draw it differently, if your neckline is down here, then you're reflecting down to the 150 region. But you have some targets there, and obviously, if it breaks, if some amazing news happens, then we're looking at this section up here between 230 and 248, give or take. And if it breaks above that, then we have some newer, not new all-time highs, but local highs at likely going straight to probably, I would say probably 266 at 300. Be very little resistance there, so I would see that happening. And let me look at Airbus just to see if it's, I assume it's probably in the same section here. So now Airbus, I don't know what this is over the counter. I could be wrong. This may not be the right stock, the right sticker for it. Isn't it ABUS? Airbus? No. ABUS? No, probably is here. So yeah, so it's all looking kind of very similar. So last thing I want to look at is, as usual, Bitcoin, just because it's fun. BTC USD on Bitstamp, and then week. Too many drawings here. We have another down day, but we keep finding resistance here, or support, sorry, at the 700 and 7,800 region, give or take. Yeah, we have to see what happens there. This is a very clear, in my point of view, Head and Shoulders here that the target would be, is that the right time? Yeah. Target would be pretty much a low. It would break the lows of the lows in December. So that would not be the prettiest sight, but who knows? We just gotta take it one day at a time. So we are consolidating here, and it's looking like we might break below that. The more tests of a trend line or horizontal, any kind of support resistance, the more likely it is to break to the other side of that. So this 7,800 may become our next level of, so if it breaks support, it becomes resistance. And so yeah, so we're basically there. We got to take it day by day. And if we break below it, then we're looking at at that point, I mean, we have some good consolidation here on, oops, and yeah, so pretty much the volume profile here would confirm that the 78.6 would be the next level. So it's around 72, 7,300. That would be the next level of support if it does break below that. 73.50 maybe to 71.50, I'd be comfortable saying. And if it remains above it, then I would say that we're going to be playing in this little box here between 7,800 and 8,250. Yeah. yeah, that's basically it for today. So like the video if you got some value out of this. Sorry if I got distracted. I got phone calls. I gotta make a better note of turning off the office phone when I am recording. And so like the video, subscribe if you can, and share it with somebody you think may enjoy it and get some value out of this. And if there's something that I can clear up, something that I can, anything you want to cover, anything you want to talk about, just let me know and I will do my best to make it happen. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.